Perspective is gained through experience. Day in and day out, we learn, we grow, and we experience the realities around us. As we take it all in, our perspectives change. The conversation about race and racism in America is an uncomfortable conversation. And the civil rights movement has come a long way since the days of Thurgood Marshall and Martin Luther King Jr. But the movement is still fighting, even to this day. It's fighting for equality, and the goalposts have shifted, but the fight is not over. The conversation about race in America would not be complete without a serious look at the relationship between Black Americans and the police officers tasked to protect and serve. The recent conflicts have brought this relationship to the front of the conversation, and the perspectives and experience involved on both sides will control the outcome.
Corey Thomas. So I'm a sergeant with the Grand Junction Police Department. I'm assigned to Colorado Mesa University. Background about me, I've actually been a police officer almost 20 years. I started my career in Southern California. I worked for a sheriff's office out there. I did that for 5 years, and then I came to Grand Junction from there.
I'm Antonio Clark, former Colorado Mesa football player. I work at KREX 5 Fox 4 News, and I run a nonprofit right now.
Melissa Winch. I've been with the PD for, I think, 9 years total now. I started out with as a PST, it's a police service technician, so it's not sworn. Became a police officer in 2013, so 7 years now. Assigned to CMU as well, and the only thing really on my resume right now is a driving instructor.
I feel like just in this society, in this country, like I feel like it's either red or blue, black and white. Like I feel like certain people use, the opposite sides in everything we do. Like you said earlier, like there's trade-offs in everything. There's positives and negatives in everything we do. So
The law from a legal perspective in a courtroom versus being on the streets, I think is different as well. It's easy to look at a statute and follow by the letter of the law, which is following it word for word that's in there, but the way that we work in the police department is on the spirit of the law. So you try to look at the statute and then apply it based on what the purpose is or the intent behind it. And so that's where a lot of times comes in the discretion that officers have. Obviously on big things, sexual assaults, domestic violence, cases like that, not really, but that's where that comes in. If I pull you over for speeding, I have the option as an officer to write you a ticket or give you a warning and let you go. I can hope maybe through education or that discussion that that'll change your behavior versus the corrective action of a citation, which has a monetary value to it.
Biggest thing is you don't have a clue of how much paperwork we do. We sit behind a desk and type up reports, I don't know, hours. We do a 10-hour shift, so I would say we're behind a desk 4 hours easily, maybe half the shift doing reports. So getting into law enforcement, you don't know the backside of all the paperwork and maybe even court. You don't think about, oh, I'm gonna have to go to court and testify, and which is intimidating for a lot of people to think about. So
you're just going to see that increase in transparency, that increase in education of trying to show the how and why we do. At least locally, nationally, I think there's a call for that transparency, and I think you're going to continue to see that. So that's where I think it will go in the future. You'll see body cameras popping up everywhere. You'll see those videos coming out quicker and more than you see currently, where a lot of times that stuff gets buried. So that's where I think it is in transparency and accountability.
I would say the people in power to realize the problem, and then the people in power begin to change it. Because I think the people can only do so much, but it's when the people, the higher ups, begin to realize the problem, and then they start changing it for the future.
Yeah.
I think that's when we will begin to heal and get better. I feel like everybody to get better and begin to move forward.
This. When we go home, we take this off and we're dressed just like you guys are. I mean, and we have families and kids, and we have the same struggles that everybody else has, and that's part of the beauty of this, and that's why different people have different interactions with officers, because I may have had a similar situation growing up as you're going through right now, or maybe my kids are having something that someone else's kids are dealing with, and my interaction with someone where another officer, maybe they don't have kids so they can't relate, their interaction with that person is poor. Because of my experience, our interaction is really good. So that's what makes it great. That's what's nice about having a diverse police force as well, is we all have our different backgrounds, we all have our different strengths, different weaknesses, and what might work well with you might not work well with me, or or with Melissa or whatever. And so, like I said, anytime we can do that, we'd like to.
I hope America can come to terms with its history and make an effort to outgrow it, I guess, to outgrow its history of racism. That's my hope for the country. And then policing specifically, I would say I hope we can get to a place again where police are the most trusted people in the community, because I don't think we're nearly close to that right now.
In school, we learned that racism ended years and years ago. We learn about the end of Jim Crow in the South. We learn about Brown versus Board of Education. We learn about Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Act, all of which are monumental landmarks in the civil rights movement. We don't learn that today, 56 years since LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act and it became law, Black men and women, young and old, are still struggling, still fighting for the dream that MLK had so many years ago. It is our job to live and to work towards creating a more equal world for everyone in it. And until that day that everyone in this country is judged purely off the content of their character and not of the color of their skin, we have work to do.
And I run a nonprofit Right Move.
What's Right and Wrong?
We're just a group of young people that live in the Grand Valley, and we're just trying to make change for the better. We want to do that change through uniting the community. We think it's a community effort. We don't think it's just our group or any one person's job to do it. We think the best way to do it is to get the community to come together and then decide how they move forward together. So that's kind of what we try to do.
How can people get involved?
Hit me up. We have a Facebook page, Right and Wrong, on Facebook.